Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, and Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hi, my name is Patience Frisby. I am the author of the book, How Did I Get Here? The Power of Choices. And I'm going to share a little bit about my story with you. So I was in law school, and it was a dream of mine to finally get into law school. And I got together with a study group, and one of my fellow classmates plagiarized my work. And just to let you know, I got into law school at the age of 50. So I was really excited about it. It was such a dream of mine. And to have this happen, I lost confidence in myself. I was angry. I was angry at God. And I thought that this dream of mine was gone forever. And so after some time, and after kind of feeling bad about myself and making some really poor choices, I finally began to look at myself and look at the decisions I made. And that's where I began to change the decisions, really think through some of the things, and then start making better decisions to have a better outcome for myself, my future, and just overall life. And one of my decisions was beginning to sit down. I decided I'm going to just sit and write about this experience, the law school experience. And I thought it may be at best a chapter, or not a chapter or two, but a paragraph or two, or at least a nice little paper. And I began writing, and it was 7 chapters in when I realized, okay, well, my confidence is back. I did have to do some additional mindset changes and other things, but I was really happy about where I was going. And for each time I would sit down and write, there were other mindset changes that had to happen. Getting over some, like I said, poor decision-making skills, getting over confidence, lacking confidence. Even in my writing, I wasn't sure if anyone would pick up and read the book. And so I had to get over that. And so this book is about that particular time in my life. But it's also about Bible stories, because I'm a Christian and I have a relationship with God, and so I look to Him, and I pray to get through times in my life. And so I picked several Bible stories, and for each one it talks about a topic like forgiveness and identity crisis and different things like that. So at the beginning of each chapter, I do talk about my experience relating to this particular subject, and then I go into the Bible story. What it has helped me to do is lead to better choices, but it has also led to me finishing this book, me talking about this book more, and other other steps along the way, like a Bible study. I'm currently writing my second book, and so it's helped me a lot. And what I want readers to get out of this book is that to get the same thing, that they take a look at their choices. If they're making good choices, it can lead to even making better choices. And if they're not making good choices, kind of taking a looking at yourself, looking at your choices, see where you're making the wrong choice, and turning yourself around to make better choices, so you too will have a better future and a better life. So, again, I'm going to read a few excerpts, and I hope you enjoy it. And this is from chapter 1. I felt like a complete failure, and my actions began to show it. I felt that I could not get a decent job. I had let my family down. I would never get anywhere in life. And I eventually moved back to Maryland with the same failure mentality. And once I was back around my children, they noticed the change. I was having a conversation with my daughter, Jessica, and she told me I had changed. My walk with God had changed, and she needed me to alter my perspective. My reply was something like, "And what if I don't?" And her mouth dropped. But at that point, I realized how angry I was, and not at myself, but at God. I also realized that all the years of teaching and grooming my children in spiritual principles and learning to trust God, I could potentially be putting them at harm. And so I had to ask her to forgive me, and I had to also ask ask her not to blame God for my bad choices. I began looking at my choices and how they affected my relationship with God and my children. I didn't have to give my classmate a copy of my assignment, and I could have told him what to do. I took what I thought was the easy way out. I could have worked on my writing before it was too late, but I didn't. I worked on it after failing the class. I should have had more confidence in myself because I knew what it took to get into law school. And but my mindset still told me I didn't belong there. These were my choices, which I had control of, and I did nothing to help myself or to set myself up for success. So you see, this was these are what happened as I went down this rabbit hole. But now I'm going to, chapter 3 is called Choose Life or Death. And it's coming from the book of in Deuteronomy. And so I'm just going to start reading. The title of this chapter shows it is your choice what you will do. In Deuteronomy chapter 30, we look at the difference between Lot and Abram. One trusted God in every part of his life, and the other only trusted God sometimes. I've trusted God. I have trusted people who let me down in one way or another. And there are times it is hard for me to trust. But I have also not been such a good person that someone else could trust at times. and I want to get better in that area. When I first got married, I expected so much. I expected my husband to be the one person I could count on for intimacy, protection, love, and respect. I didn't realize that all that took time to build and to grow. But I did come to understand that over time. And there were situations when I put all my trust into the marriage so that if anyone came against me, my husband would be there. And if anyone came against him, I would be there. Most of the time, it did not happen. Even going into years 9 and 10, it was devastating to feel like I could not rely on that person um, time after time. My marriage did not last. But the lesson did. It was harsh, but it was learned. The experience taught me some things I had to unlearn, but it also taught me how to see a person's actions and to learn to trust the person's actions, not just the words, no matter who it is. But in trusting God, you can never go wrong. Jacob trusted everything God told him after Moses died. It must have been from watching everything God told Moses and what actions God took to prove that what he was saying was true. No matter what, from the miracles in the wilderness to entering the promised land. And then I'm going to go to the next chapter. And I want you to know I'm on a phone, so I can't see your comments, and I hope you're making a lot of them, and I can't see your questions. But at the end of this, when I can get back onto my computer and really go through, I will answer and respond to both questions as well as comments. And I thank you. And I thank Reader's Magnet, first of all, and I should have done this at the beginning. I thank you for listening. I thank you for for being interested, and I do hope that my book catches your attention and you purchase it not only for yourself but maybe for some. I'm going to read another chapter. So this one, chapter 8 in the book, and it's called Joseph, the Lord was with him. In this story, I wonder how Joseph felt when he went through all he did without his family around to guide him or talk to him. The story speaks that the Lord was with him. It had to still be difficult because he went through so much. The words "and the Lord was with him" seemed to give hope, even if Joseph did not know God was there no matter what he went through. I chose this story because no matter what happened, there is always still hope. And going through my story, I did not always feel like it, but there was always hope. I may not have seen or looked in the right places, but even for me, the Lord was there. And that meant a lot. So that's another excerpt. And finally, I wanted to talk about the next chapter. I wanted to talk about Gideon. And this story is called Identity Crisis. And have you ever been in a situation where you thought you knew who you were, but you really didn't? And or when it came down to some things that you've heard in church or different things like that, like God loves you and um, God has owned you from the very beginning, and you wonder if that's truly true. And this is where I feel like Gideon is in his life. So I'm going to read. The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Mighty hero, the Lord is with you." "Sir," Gideon explained, "if the Lord is with us, why has all of this happened to us? And where are all the miracles our ancestors told us about? Didn't they say the Lord brought us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to the Midianites." Then the Lord turned to him and said, "Go with the strength you have and rescue Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you." "But Lord," Gideon replied, "how can I rescue Israel? My clan is the weakest in the whole tribe of Manasseh, and I am the least in my entire family. So, and then the Lord said, and by the way, it's the angel of the Lord said, I will be with you, and you will destroy the Midianites as if you were fighting against one man. And Gideon replied, if you are truly going to help me, show me a sign to prove that it is really the Lord speaking to me. Don't go away until I come back and bring my offering to you. So what I know that is truly out of the Bible. And then I go into more about it. But what I wanted to show you was the topic and the Bible story, what it's based off of. And then it goes on to my explanations, my comments, my little inserts throughout. So, and finally, I'm going to go to the final chapter of the book because in so many of these stories, the choice needed to be made, whether good or bad, which becomes life or death, or at least it appears to be. As believers, we are killed all the day long by other people's tongues against us or by our own tongue. But our merciful God does not let that happen. When we put ourselves in a position where death is truly laid in the balance, our prayer is that God will protect us. Put another way, walking toward death is no different than disobeying God's word because the wages of sin is death. It also answers the question, have you sold out to God? We may say a lot of things in our efforts to make ourselves seem like great Christians. There is a time where God says, show me, so we must. So those are excerpts out of my book. How did I get here? The power of prayer. And I want to just share with you. So people may be saying, where did you get the title from? And I was talking to a coach when I began writing the book because I got to a place after 7 chapters where I was like, I'm not really sure, A, if I'm writing really well, B, if anybody will read it, and C, where to go. So I got a coach to help me with my writing. And I didn't have a title at the time. And we were sitting talking. And one of the things she asked me is going back to that place after law school, when all of this happened, when you failed the class, when you were academically dismissed sometime later, looking at, and then the bad choices that came after, looking at all of that, what would be the question you asked yourself, or what would you say to that person? And my response was, the question would have been, how did I get here? Because it's easy to not realize how the choices tie in, but you're at what seems like rock's bottom. And you're trying to figure out, A, how did you get here? And B, how do you get out of here? And this book, my book, talks about both. I talk about the bad choices I made. I talk about the different things I feel like led to me, getting and staying in the bad place, even after law school. And I also talk about the different ways to get there. My way, of course, is through my beliefs, my spiritual beliefs, and relying on God and praying and trusting, and even having making choices I believe will be the best for the best and the good of my future. Those choices, in making those choices, it kind of it turned everything around from being lost, being in this bad place, to freeing my mind more, to be able to make better choices, and not only make better choices, made the right choices for myself. And that is why I wrote the book. That is why I am sharing the book with as many people as possible, because A, I want people to have hope. B, I want people to not just blame or think that, oh, I'm in this place and I'm never going to be able to get out, but to see there's hope, to see that, and that hope starts with you, and it starts with the making of better decisions, and it starts with just putting one foot in front of the other, making one decision after another, and finally to see that it's going to be all right, and you do have hope in this life. And I am so happy to have the opportunity, and it's another good decision I made, having the opportunity to present my book to you and to show my work. And I'm hoping that as I do that, it will lead to more opportunities and better things. So this is why I'm sharing the book. This is why I'm sharing my experience. And this is why I'm sharing and encouraging you. Now, I thank you for everything. I thank you, Reader's Magnet. And by the way, I have a website. It is called patiencewords.com. So if you want to reach out and you want to see more about the book, and I also have a blog, www.patiencewords.com. I'm on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Patience Frisby, and I am on Instagram, and it's Instagram, www.instagram.com/PFrisby1. I am on all these different social media sites, and you'll see some more of my work. You'll see different things. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I a couple of things. So my book is in Barnes and Nobles, and or Instacart, Barnes and Noble, and it's also on Amazon. And you can you can also buy my book on my website. And I have it both in hard copy as well as in soft copy. And again, I really wish I could see your questions and comments, because I would love to answer them. Oh, I have a little more time than I thought I did. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read one more insert. And I had one more, but I thought my time was coming to an end. Oops. So hold on just a minute. I apologize. I want to get to the right place. So it's concerning Joseph again. And no, I'm sorry. It is on Esther. And the title of this chapter is called Esther, Positioned at the Right Time. And you see, so I'm going to start reading, because first of all, I love the book of Esther. It was like, for me, a fairy tale put into the Bible, because it's about a young girl who loses her parents, is orphaned, and she becomes queen. So here's the story. The story of Esther reads a little like a fairy tale if you're only looking at it through the lens of her marrying the prince or the king. is so much more, and that is why I wanted to include it. Esther had nothing to do with the circumstances that led to her getting the opportunity to be in a position to be chosen queen. But her life was set to ensure she had a chance. She was humble, diligent, educated, and knew protocol. If she was greedy or simply wanted to obtain wealth, she may not have ended up a queen. Being in a position you have always wanted is a great achievement, but there are many lessons you need to learn along the way. This story is about the process it took for Esther to become queen and go before the king. If Esther had not learned the process, she would not have lasted long in her duties as queen, nor in her marriage. The reason I chose this story is because in everything we go through, there is a process, whether we understand it as we are going through or after. Everything has a process. In my home, I like to have my kids ask to, when before they're getting something out of the refrigerator, whether it's water or juice, especially when they're young, it's because first of all, they can potentially make a big mess, and they're trying to get it down. But as my kids grew up, my grandkids came along, there was always a schedule that I kept to within my house. On weekdays, I got up and walked our dog and then got ready for work. Sometimes I had a part-time job as well as full-time job, or I had a class. These were the early years when I first bought my house. On weekends, we cleaned. Sunday was church. Well, this is not everything, it is a small part of the schedule. There are variations during holidays and summer, but I needed structure. I preferred people knocking on the door instead of just walking in. Those were my protocols for my home. Other family members did not care if people walked into their home without knocking, especially if they knew you were coming. But see, protocol is protocol, and every person, whether you realize it or not, has a protocol to their house. They have a protocol to what they want and expect within their home. And I kind of skipped around because I was making a point concerning Esther and protocol and life, and the comparison between my kids when they were younger. You see, um, when the kids are younger, even to the point of asking for water or juice in the refrigerator, like I said, it can make a big mess. But it's also teaching that I need to ask because I may need help. I need to ask because this is how my mom has set up our house to be. And I'm asking because this is what I want. So I'm going to ask. So the point to me, the point of protocol, this is the one place in the Bible, this is the one story where it talks about protocol to this extent. It talks about how to come before the king and what needs to happen. But this is also a story that shows the beauty of so much. Excuse me. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions and your comments. Thank you, Reader's Magnet, for being part. Oops, I'm sorry. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story, to listen to my time about my book. Thank you, Reader's Magnet, for sponsoring this virtual book fair, and thank each and every one of you for being here today. I truly appreciate it, and I thank you. And again, reminding you about my book, if it is something, hopefully it's something you want to read. It's called How Did I Get Here? The Power of Choices by Patience Frisby. Thank you so much.